All right, we're getting ready to read Hello, Lighthouse. About 100 years ago, the captains of big ships would rely on lighthouses. Lighthouses would shine huge lights on the shoreline, keeping those captains and their ships from crashing into the rocks as they sailed close to land. And before machines ran those lighthouses, men did. These men lived inside of lighthouses day and night, taking care of that huge light at the top. And this particular book is going to tell us about one of those men who lived inside of a lighthouse almost 100 years ago. If you have your copy of the book Lighthouse, please open it up to the first flap and we will get started reading. Remember that whenever you hear this sound, it means it's time to turn the page. Hello, Lighthouse by Sophie Blackall. On the highest rock of a tiny island at the edge of the world stands a lighthouse. It is built to last forever, sending its light out to the sea, guiding the ships on their way. From dusk to dawn, the lighthouse beams. Hello, 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 lighthouse. The new keeper arrives to replace the old, to carry on tending the light. He polishes the lens and refills the oil and trims the burned end of the wick. Throughout the night, he winds the clockwork that keeps the lamp in motion. During the day, he gives the round rooms a fresh coat of sea green paint. He writes in the logbook and threads his needle and listens to the gathering wind. The wind takes a deep breath and blows and blows. Hello, hello, hello. The keeper boils water and drinks his tea as he fishes for cod from the window. He sets the table and hums a tune, and he wishes for someone to talk to. Every few days, he writes her a letter and throws it into the waves. He tends the light and writes in the logbook and waits for her to reply. The sky grows dark and the waves rise and crash. Hello, hello, hello. The keeper looks through his telescope. The tender arrives, bringing oil and flour and pork and beans, and his wife. He shows her around the round rooms of their house. He tends the light and writes in the logbook and sets the table for two. The fog makes everything disappear. A bell rung to warn the ships. One thick night, disaster strikes. A boat is wrecked on the rocks. Not a moment to lose, the keeper rows out. He pulls 3 sailors from the deep black sea. He tends the light and writes in the logbook and wraps the sailors in blankets. The sea turns into a carpet of ice. Hello, hello, hello. One dawn, the keeper begins to sneeze. By dusk, he is terribly ill. His wife is everywhere all at once, running up and down the spiral stairs. She tends the light and chips ice off the lantern room windows. She sits by his side and writes in the logbook the moment his fever breaks. The icebergs pass by on their journey south. The whales pass by on their journey north. Hello, hello, hello. Inside the lighthouse, the woman walks around and around the room. Her husband boils water and helps her breathe in and out. He tends the light and writes in the logbook and notes the birth of their child. The sky erupts in swirls of green. Hello, hello, hello. The tender arrives bringing oil and flour and pork and beans in the mail, along with fresh books and news from the land. And there's an unexpected letter with the Coast Guard seal. The keeper winds the clockwork and polishes the lens, just as he's always done. He tends the light and writes in the logbook, but knows that it's not for long. Together they watch the horizon. The Coast Guard arrives with a brand new light and installs the machine to run it. No lamp to fill, no wick to trim. The keeper's work is done. He climbs to the top of the spiral stairs and closes the logbook for good. They pack their belongings into the boat and wave farewell to the gulls. Beyond the breakers, they all look up. Goodbye, Lighthouse. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. On the highest rock of a tiny island at the edge of the world stands a lighthouse. It is built to last forever, sending its light out to sea. The fog rolls in and the fog rolls out. The waves rise and crash. The wind blows and blows. Hello, hello, hello. Over the waves, across the bay, a light on the land beams back. Hello, 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 Lighthouse. The end. So the lighthouse keeper moved out of the lighthouse with his family onto the shoreline. Because of that machine, they don't need to live in the lighthouse anymore, but they live on the shore and they watch it to make sure that it continues to shine. As you can kind of see back here, in this picture that's extra long, right up here in the corner is their house where they live instead. Now this is a really neat story because nowadays most ships have GPS systems in them. They're global positioning systems, which means that now ships communicate with satellites instead of lighthouses to let them know where the shoreline is. But this is an amazing little book that kind of gives you a little history on what it used to be like when lighthouses were used.